Hey everyone, welcome. It's Jana with the Holistic Institute of Wellness and Carolyn Jones with the Holistic Institute of Wellness.
Hey everyone, hope you're doing well today. As we launch into this week of independence, celebrating our independence, Jana and I wanted to take an opportunity to
Freedom and independence, that's our topic.
sorry everyone.
It's our
Oh
topic
my
today.
goodness. Yes, our topic today is freedom and independence. And we thought it was very appropriate because of the week we are entering into our nation's birthday, and we are in such a powerful shift at this time.
Yeah.
We have coming up at the end of the week another full moon eclipse. So we have been in a series of eclipse patterns over the last 4 weeks,
Lovely.
and it has been stirring stuff up. So, if you all have been feeling anxious or nervous or maybe a little flary, as Jana and I like to say, tempers rising,
Yeah.
know that that is all part of eclipse season. And on the flip side of that, if you have been in a state of bliss and happiness that's been unexplainable, that is also another flip side of it. And maybe you've had a combination of both. So know that it's all perfect. Eclipses and new moon, full moon cycles affect everyone differently.
Yeah.
So there's no comparison, no judgment whatsoever. And a lot of that, it just depends on where you are in life and where you are in your journey.
And your chart, your actual chart, because wherever your planets were the moment you were born, the imprint was laid down and the frequency was set. So
Yes.
that becomes a dance when all these other frequencies and all these vibrations and everything that's going on kicks in.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
there's always that to contend with.
Yes.
Yes.
And speaking of charts, one thing that you all can take a look at, for those of you that follow any type of astrology, is to look at the particular location of Mars in your astrological chart. Because Mars is the planet essentially of war, and Mars is going into Aries. And it's not only going into Aries for 6 weeks as it would normally, it is going into Aries for 6 months. So from now until
The end of the year.
end of the year, we have a lot of activity. So what that means essentially with that planet, there's going to be a lot that is going to be coming to the surface. A lot's going to be revealed. There's going to be some more roller coasters. So it's really important that we all pay attention to our energy and to be in that very centered, grounded space. In almost every video that Jana and I do, we talk a lot about centering and grounding, and that is extremely important, especially during this time.
Yeah, and it's becoming, I know for me personally, it's becoming really, it's palpable at how many times during the day I have to just stop if I can, but at least take a breath.
Yeah.
And just ask for guidance, but take a breath and recenter myself. I can feel how imperative it is to bring the peaceful aspect into it because of how quickly,
Yes.
literally, obviously, in a day anymore, the rug keeps getting pulled out. And so we're constantly having to recalibrate our balance.
Absolutely.
And we have all these choices. Do we react? Do we respond? How are we going to respond? How are we going to react?
Right.
And so I know, for me personally, if it throws me off center, then everything gets off kilter. Everything gets off kilter. So I go to my Buddha tree, I go to my tree inside,
Yes.
and I do my thing.
So speaking of inside, that is the freedom and liberation that we want to chat with you all about today.
Yeah.
Because we always have this, we're always looking externally, right? So we're looking externally to see what we can do to free ourselves up from certain situations, maybe relationships,
Yeah.
maybe just areas of life that are no longer working. But the freedom and liberation that we want to talk to you all about today is more about the internal freedom. And what is internal freedom? What does that look like? What does that mean when we say that, and how do you get there? So Jana did a video probably a month or so ago.
God, probably almost 2 months ago. It was when everything started. It was when everything started, right? And the emotions and the feelings and that turbulent underground feeling that it was so palpable. But I know for me, of course, myself as well, was trying to find my balance in the middle of all of it, and to be able to be there for other people also. But you're talking about the shackles?
Yes.
Yeah. For those who saw the video, backstory is real fast. I was on my way to work one morning. It was a bit of a bumpy morning for me, so I was listening to one of Magenta Pixie's latest interviews, and so the woman she was interviewing with, it was a husband and wife team she was interviewing with, the woman had an English brogue accent, very thick, beautiful woman, but a very thick accent. And so, of course, they were talking about energy and chakras, but I could have sworn the woman said shackles. And it was it was like a light bulb that went off in my head. And by the time I got to work, I had a whole epiphany that had struck, and I got in front of the camera real fast to explain it. But the shackles, what I was explaining in the video was, where are you shackled? Where is your freedom? Are you shackled that you can't feel free?
Right.
Are you feeling liberated? I know for me personally, I don't feel liberated if I'm feeling shackled with a thought, with a worry, a concern. That shackles me immediately, and I can't fly. It's like a bird with a thing on its foot,
Yeah.
and it can't fly. It's
Tethered.
caged. Tethered. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, it's caged.
Yeah.
And it's tethered. So shackles is a great explanation of liberation and freedom. Are you feeling shackled in any area of your life, and especially now? Because
Yes.
it is interesting, the presentation that is going on out there can almost look like shackles from time to time.
Yeah.
Our freedoms, our rights, our voices. I mean, it's showing up
Absolutely.
in all categories,
It is.
right? And
Yes.
again, we're all going to have our own individual experience with this,
Right.
and then there's a collective experience. But always start with you. That's the most important thing.
Yes. Because then that is the most important thing. We are the most important thing, and that's part of what we try to educate our students on and our clients, that when you take the opportunity to look within yourself and you look at your beliefs and your patterns as far as your thoughts, how you've been conditioned through life, through external conditioning from parents, from peers, as we went through school, up through college, maybe graduate school, whatever. When you look at all of that conditioning that we've been a part of, what that does is that it shapes and forms us. And if we don't pause and look within to see what we really do believe, we get caught in those patterns. And over time, those patterns actually become very limiting for us.
Right.
And they become very constraining.
Yeah.
And so the type of freedom and liberation that Jana and I are talking about today is really an evaluation of yourself.
Right.
And where you're standing.
Yes.
And how you feel. And what you're thinking about. And how those thoughts are literally permeating and showing up in your reality on the bigger screen. And so we don't really realize how caught we can get in our own internal patterning, our own internal processing system, until we pause and step back and look at it. So it's extremely important to kind of take a self-assessment.
Yes. Yes. And so, good thing to remember is you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Right. And we've all grown up obviously with a certain um, conditioning that took place from so many different avenues, and that was our reality. That's when it's been proven that neuroplasticity lays down at 7 to 8 years old, like it cements in. So whatever we learned in those first 7 to 8 years becomes very forefront in our brain, literally, in the particular part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex.
Yes.
So, and then that's our platform. That's our platform as a human. And then we go out and we try to figure out things from there and mold it.
So we're
Yeah.
operating off a platform that was established between the ages of essentially in utero to 5
Yeah.
or 6 years old.
Yeah.
And everything after that has been stacked upon it.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I wanted to recommend to you all is to check into The Artist Way. It's a fabulous book.
Mm-hmm.
It's a book that I read over probably 15 years ago and started the process of journaling. And that process has stuck with me through the last 15 years. I still love that book. But she talks about in the book how when you just take time to literally dump out your thoughts and you write out just 3 pages of stuff of just, even if your grocery list gets in the middle of it, once you get through all of that, then the creativity starts to flow.
Yeah.
But journaling is one of the most important tools that anyone can do to really get a great assessment on how you're feeling.
Yes.
Because what oftentimes happens is that we will go through an entire day, maybe even a week or maybe even weeks, and not even be aware of what we're thinking.
Yes.
And then we get down the road a few minutes later and look back and go, wow, what was I going through during that time? So it's really a way to dial into yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and also to do a self-check to see, where are you being limited in your life? Where are you limiting yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's in love relationships. Maybe that's in finances. Maybe it's in your success as an entrepreneur or small business owner or even someone in corporate America. Maybe you're feeling limited. We often hear that term, we've hit the glass ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that over and over and over again. And so what is that glass ceiling? What are you hitting?
Mm-hmm.
And looking at it from that internal perspective, so you know where to direct your energy,
Yeah.
and how to free yourself up from that.
Yeah. Yeah. Who created glass ceiling, right? Who created and coined that term? And the words automatic pilot came to me as well when Carolyn was talking.
Yeah.
Automatic pilot, we're just going through our days, not aware of what's happening. And so that can be very limiting.
Yes.
Again, sometimes we get in these self-hypnotic modes and we're not even aware of it. It's an interesting way to walk through our days, and part of what's happening now these days literally was we've been forced into the now, which is how it was meant to be the whole time.
Right.
But we are living a time that we really do need to be present because it changes every day.
Yeah.
It changes absolutely every day. So
Sometimes every minute.
it is sometimes every minute.
Minute by minute.
Yeah, I mean, you really don't know what the day's going to look like anymore.
Right.
You can schedule it out, but it could change in a second. So it can be very liberating and very, very freeing to be able to flow with what's going on right now. And so I know I've certainly had to learn how to bob and weave with everything that's going on.
Right.
I had to learn that a long, long time ago, but it's become very forefront, certainly in a lot of our daily life anymore.
Right.
Again, because things are so fluid now.
Right.
So where's your liberation in all of that? Where does it fall? In the bobbing and weaving, in the flowing, and automatic pilot. Are you on automatic pilot? Who coined that?
That's a great point, Jana. Really great point. And, you know, when we get on that automatic pilot, we really aren't aware. And, you know, one of the things you said about just kind of that bobbing and weaving and going with the flow,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's so important right now to some extent, because what's happening, I think by nature, we're like, you know, humans are very curious. So we're
Mm-hmm.
very curious about what's going on. And so we find ourselves getting caught in a lot of distraction.
Correct.
We get ourselves caught in a lot of distraction with the media, social media, everything that's going on in the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
And as I always say, I'm not suggesting you put your head in the sand. What I'm suggesting is that you take a step back
Mm-hmm.
and you shut the phone off for a bit, and you shut the TV off, and you get out in nature and you connect,
Mm-hmm.
and you get in the silence, and maybe you get in your water, go to the lake, go to the river. If you live in Florida or somewhere near
Yeah.
the ocean,
Get out in the
go to the
ocean.
beach. You know, so because those times are so important. The internal compass within all of us is our greatest asset. And we oftentimes can't hear ourselves
Mm-hmm.
because we have so much external noise around us. So, what Jana was referring to as the autopilot, that's essentially what really throws that autopilot into gear,
Mm-hmm.
because we're so distracted. But when we
Yeah.
step back from all of that and we really go inside and we get still, then we can actually hear and determine what our truth is.
Yes.
And I can say with full confidence that there is never a greater time in our history that we need to know what our truth is. We need to know that within ourselves, and not take things for face value, and not believe something just because it's being said by the majority.
Yeah.
It is so important for us to know. And if there's something, I've had more and more people, and I know, Jana, you have too, over the last several weeks, that have come in and said, gosh, you know, this doesn't sound right, or that doesn't feel right. Well,
Yeah.
there's probably a good reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, I'm going to encourage you to listen to that voice,
Mm-hmm.
because that voice never steers you wrong. The reason that people don't believe that voice is because it doesn't always make logical sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so we second guess ourselves.
Yeah.
But oftentimes, intuition doesn't make logical sense. It's a feeling. You know, and I've had that my whole life, of feeling and knowing. I don't always have the validity or the proof to back that up. I'm not prone to need proof for something when I feel it. There's a lot of individuals that are, and that's okay. But I tend to just know things within myself, and I can't often explain them. It's just something that comes through me. So, but everybody has that ability. And everyone out there is more intuitive than they know.
Yeah.
And it's only because of just, you know, it's like taking that time to develop it, and,
Right.
and dialing into it.
Right. Right. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
That's good.
Thank you. So we just want to encourage you to really take this time over this next week.
Yeah.
Happy 4th of July, by the
Happy
way.
4th, everybody.
And hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Yes.
But we really want to take this time, just to summarize, to encourage everyone to really look within themselves. Take a self-assessment. See if you can breathe into yourself. Jana, in one of our last videos, did just a nice breathing technique where you just close your eyes and you just take a nice breath in, and you get centered and you just connect. And maybe your thoughts are just going nonstop. You know, maybe they're just chitty chit chat. You can't even tell where you're feeling limited. But if you keep doing it, if you just stay with it, then over time, that monkey mind, as I like to call it, is going to settle down, and you can kind of drop down into your body and get a feel for where you might be feeling constricted.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you have that feeling, then focus on that particular area of your body. So As you all know, Jana and I are Reiki masters, or Reiki master teachers. We talk a lot about the energy system, a lot about the chakras, okay? So everything that you really need to know within is already encoded within you. So even if you're not Reiki trained, what you can do is rub your palms together and activate your palm chakras. So we're talking about working with your natural chi here. So let's say when you take a deep breath in, and let's just say you've got that monkey mind or a lot of those thoughts, then just rub those hands together and gently place them on the top of your head and close your eyes, and then just let your hands sit there for a moment, and you can probably feel the energy beginning to move or dissipate, and then you can just brush your head off, you know? And you can do that. Heart, stomach, wherever you may feel, and just take 3 deep breaths in. And that's going to help clear that energy. And then do take some time to check out the Artist's Way and make an effort to journal and really get in touch with how you're feeling and what you're thinking, and what this time has stirred up for you.
Right.
You know, I had a whole morning session this morning, journaling out about 3 pages, just how I'm feeling about some of the latest things that are occurring. And that's so important. So those are just ways that you can really tap into your inner knowing and begin to look at ways in which you're feeling constricted and feeling shackled, and how you want to free yourself up from that.
And if you can, please give yourself some time in the morning.
Yeah.
I know we're all busy. I know we've got kids and commitments, of course, all sorts of things. But if you can give yourself, gosh, whatever you can afford, but just you. Even if it's a 10, 15 minutes, just enough time to sit and just be with the world before the world wakes up.
Yeah.
Not only your own family, but before the world wakes up. It's got a completely different vibe. 100% different vibe, right?
does.
How could it not? Because it's as soon as when everybody starts waking up,
Yeah.
and we start, you know, we're all shifting into work mind and work mode, and that immediately changes everything.
Yeah.
And then the cars begin and the highways get busier, and here goes the noise factor, and you're off and running for the day. So I'm a huge proponent in getting up much earlier than I need to be to go to work. I give myself a good 3 hours.
Yeah.
But that's me. I've been doing this a long time. And that 3 hours, it took a while to get there. But it's interesting, the older I get and the further along I get on my path, I really need those 3 hours, because it completely sets my day. And I can walk out the door, take care of everything I need to take care of before I enter back in at the end of the day. But I'm stable and I'm steady.
Yeah.
And I've got my breath and I've got my mantras and I've got my meditation and everything that I know to do for me.
Yeah.
And for me, it's quietness in the morning. It's imperative. It speaks to my soul.
Right.
So for me, that's a non-negotiable. Non-negotiable.
And we're certainly not suggesting that you start out
Don't
with 3
even-
hours.
No,
Like Jana
don't even
said,
do it.
she's worked up to this,
I've
and
been-
I have
yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
But you know, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
5 minutes. 5 minutes a day is better than no minutes a day. And it's almost like, if you can think about, for example, anything that you focus on, right? So let's think about going to the gym or walking or working out or whatever. It's a muscle and it's a
Right.
training. So when you work out the upper part of your body and not your legs get weak.
Right.
And when you work out your legs and you don't work your upper body, your arms get weak. And it's kind of the same thing. So we like to refer to this as the spiritual muscle.
Yeah.
So if you take time to do these practices that we've, suggested, and over time, it builds a muscle. And what occurs is that you begin to see a shift in your day.
And feel.
And
And you'll feel it.
And you feel the shift.
Yeah.
And it feels good.
Yeah.
And it feels better, so much to the point that you don't want to not do it.
Right.
And that's what happened to me over a decade ago when I started a daily gratitude practice. I started with writing down 5 things a day that I was grateful for. And, I've always said, like, no matter how many fancy tools and meditations and whatever I do, gratitude is the most important thing in my book
Yeah.
because it raises my joy factor.
Yeah.
It raises my frequency. It raises my vibration. And it allows me to look around at everything I do have to be grateful for. And that's freedom and liberation right there.
Exactly.
So make it fun. Like for me, a ritual, I like to get up, have a cup of coffee, or, now doing more of an herbal coffee, which is fantastic. I love it. But I love to have that morning time, have my cup of coffee, get my favorite journal, my pen, and just really sit. And then I have like a daily type devotional passage that I read, something spiritual along those lines, and just so I'm always, and Jana is too, like we're always looking at new things, but it really, when you create that ritual, it becomes very fun, and it just livens up your spirit.
That's great.
Yeah. So before we close, we wanted to take another moment and draw a card today.
Yes.
And so what we're going to ask is just our celestial teams, and whether you're watching this video now or whether you watch it later, it will be perfect. And so we're going to draw a card today, and we're going to ask from everyone's celestial teams the divine guidance on how we want to proceed through this week, but also how we want to continue to remove those shackles from our life and step more into freedom and liberation.
Freedom and liberation. And for
Yes.
those of you, that movement I just did,
That
it's
was totally cool.
I wish I could take credit, but our dear brother Andrew, Alexander from Rhiannon Alexander does that every Sunday when he and his soul brother give a wonderful YouTube, Facebook. They go Facebook Live every Sunday, and they're Rhiannon Alexander, and he's the card reader of the group, and that's how he clears his deck. He blows it off.
Nice.
Which I always thought was so cool.
I love that.
Totally cool.
That's great.
Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Tap my energy.
Okay.
And we'll just call in everyone that's listening. And then ask Spirit to work through you and
Pull the card.
pull the card.
And the card today for the week of liberation and freedom. Star Keeper. These are our
Star Keeper. That's beautiful.
I don't think we've ever pulled this.
Wow.
These are our starseed cards, right? God, it's absolutely spectacular. Cosmic Ancestor. Seed the light by staying grounded.
All right.
Oh my God.
There we go.
That's
Confirmation.
beautiful. Seriously.
Okay, so the message is you are an ancient keeper of the stars, here to anchor and seed your light in your unique way. You've likely been incarnating on Earth for some time, dedicated to an era of awakening and bringing about a long-awaited shift in the planet's evolution.
Oh, wow.
We are at this tipping point now. Yes,
There we go.
are.
Actually, we really are.
The survival of Earth and all of its species is coming to a head. The more grounded you remain during this transitional period, the more helpful you'll be. The more you tend to the flames of your own heart, the more love you'll anchor onto this planet. The wisdom of the stars is imprinted upon your soul. The more soul fragments you call home, the more this wisdom is seated here. You may be called to be in different places in the world to anchor this light, perhaps by taking a trip or living in a certain location. You may also find yourself experiencing awakening symptoms. The more grounded you remain, the more stable Earth's energy will become, and the less reactive humanity will be. You're here for a double mission: to grow as an individual, as part of a larger collective, that's bringing about a shift in frequency. Trust that you can be in the world, but not of it. One of my favorite sayings.
Me too.
And lead a truly glorious life. So that is a
Wow.
beautiful message, very confirming. Appreciate our divine team for bringing that through.
Absolutely.
And Jana, there's actually a activation.
Okay.
So for those of you listening, what we're going to do is just have you place your left hand on your heart chakra. That's your heart chakra, and the color of your heart chakra is emerald green. So if you want to close your eyes and just visualize a beautiful emerald green ray of light, and the activation is, I acknowledge that I am a star keeper. I choose to anchor my light and stay as grounded as possible. So be it.
So be it.
So it is.
So it is. And
Excellent.
and so just a quick note as well before we sign off here is next Saturday, July 4th, we will be holding a drum circle, okay, to bring in more freedom and more liberation.
Yes.
So we look forward to seeing you there. I believe we'll do it at 3 o'clock like we always do.
I think we actually, Jana, had talked about maybe doing it earlier.
Did we bump it up?
So we
My
will,
bad.
No worries. We will actually post that time on
Okay.
our Facebook page.
Okay.
That's Holistic Institute of Wellness. You can find that on our Facebook business page, and we will confirm that time and get that out there.
Yeah. It's a great way just to all get together, and we always share with people, please grab a drum, grab a rattling instrument.
Yes.
You know, and obviously this is a whole collective group, so, and we put out a ripple into the air, into the ether to help be with everybody and calm everything down or process everything
Yes.
as it's going on, and ourselves.
Yes, and like I said, it is a full moon. It is
Yeah.
an eclipse. So another good quick tip on the full moon, great time to make a list of things that you want to release. And if you have access to a fire pit or a fireplace or some way that you can safely burn that, it's great to do that. If you don't, just shred it up and just kind of toss it to the wind, or you know, however that looks for you. But the full moon's a wonderful time to let go of unwanted energy.
Yes.
So
That's perfect.
all right.
Okay.
Thanks, Jana. This has been great today.
You're welcome. Thanks, Carolyn.
You're welcome.
It's been fun.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you, everybody.
Again, we so appreciate you all. And
Absolutely.
appreciate your continued love and support.
Yes.
Be well.
Thank you.